Your Honor, I'm afraid you can't pass a verdict just yet. Mr. Cuthbert? Cuthbert, what the hell are you doing? I don't know. But what I do know is that there was a massive contradiction in Miriam Frega's testimony. Who were you kidding? As if you were ever the type of person to stand by and do nothing. Okay, well, I did it again, but that's fine. I like the part where I stopped. I thought it was very dramatic of me. Your Honor, the prosecution, I would like the right to cross-examine this witness. Bailiff, please arrest Mr. Cuthbert. I'm holding him in contempt of court. Oh, well, wait. You didn't really think this through, did you? Instead of following his orders, the bailiff walked over the judge's podium and whispered something in his ear. Huh? I see. Very well, then. What are they saying? It appears that Mrs. Steelwind has somehow predicted that this would happen. In accordance with her wishes, Mr. Cuthbert may act as the prosecution in her stead. What the hell? You can't be serious. I am honestly just as surprised as you are, Miss Tymora, but Miss Steelwind has apparently designated him as her stand-in. It's unorthodox, but it's also legal? I recall something strange Steelwind asked you earlier today. So, what would you do if one of your clients was guilty? I suppose I'd withdraw and tell them to find another lawyer. And if no one else would represent them, I don't know. It would definitely be a hard choice for me. But I would never be able to represent them if I knew the truth. I just can't stand by and let a murderer escape justice. I see. Steelwind, did she somehow know this would happen? Well, this isn't how I expected the trial to go. Shortly after you barge onto the prosecutor's table, Celeste awkwardly followed behind you. Curiously, she only did so after the bailiff couldn't arrest you. I guess we're really doing this. What's wrong? This feels weird. Right on the other side of the courtroom. I mean, this is where the prosecutor is supposed to stand. No, this feels way too jarring. Ruby, can we switch tables? What? Please ignore her. No, this is way too weird. Tyrion, get her to switch with us. Dear Lord Celeste. For the love of... I genuinely do not care. Cuthbert can have this side if he wants it so badly. With that out of the way, let's resume proceedings. I'm a little disappointed. I was having fun being on the other side. Assuming that we're all at our preferred spots. We are, Your Honor. As much as you hate to admit it, you are more comfortable here. Not that you want to encourage her. With all of these interruptions, I think it best to review the proceedings up until now. The prosecution proposed that Beatrice Frega's motive for the murder was to claim the victim's inheritance. However, the defense brought forth a witness who testified that Beatrice was disinherited by her father 5 years ago. Am I correct, Miss Tymora? You are, Your Honor. Very well. Considering the circumstances, I think it best to have Lady Frega repeat her testimony. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frega to the stand once more. Miss Frega, would you please give your testimony to the court once more? Of course. I completely forgotten what her voice is. One day, we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our home. She left a note for us, and in it she announced her name and denounced my father. My father later called me and my sister into his study. He told us that he had completely disowned Beatrice and removed any claim she had to the Frega estate. It was probably a threat to us in case we ever chose to go down the same path she did. He wanted to make an example out of her. This all happened 5 years ago. So your father disinherited Beatrice shortly after her departure? Yes, he did. As such, Beatrice would have no motive to murder her father. Any inheritance she could have received would be long gone by the night of the murder. Is that really true, though? Okay. Was it to completely disown Beatrice and remove anything she had to the Frega estate? That's true. That's true. Right? Is there any other... anything that... I don't think there's anything that technically proves that she had a note. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, it just says fled. Nothing about a note. That must have been a surprise for all of you. Did she tell anyone else about her plan? No, she did not. She left without a word to anyone. She should have spoken with us first. He says she's sincere about what she's saying. Alright, so you look at this. Completely don't Beatrice and remove anything. That seems like a drastic reaction to her simply leaving her home. My father and sister had many disagreements before this. He had made it clear that he wouldn't tolerate her many acts of insubordination. I imagine that peace was the last straw for him. While that sounds in character for him, would William Frege really do something so extreme? Regardless of his personal feelings, as Frege holds a lot of financial and political power, he really changes his inheritance so haphazardly. Alright, let's look at the... some of the janitorial storage room. Here, House... if you knew how this would affect the future of House Frege. Alright. Beatrice angered William Frege enough for him to declare that he would be disinheriting her that night. Objection! Miss Frege, it's clear that you're regretful of how your elder sister was treated. That guilt must have eaten at you for all these years. Cuthbert, I know you don't have a good history with the witness, but you shouldn't rub salt in her wounds. I was merely pointing out the witness's personal connection to the defendant, Miss Tymora. She clearly regrets not standing up for her sister all those years ago, so perhaps she's trying to make up for that. By lying to protect her. Excuse me, I did nothing of the sort. Miss Frege, you testify that your father disinherited Beatrice 5 years ago. However, I have testimony from another witness who spoke with the victim on the night of the murder. After Beatrice's meeting with William Frege, he openly declared that he would be removing her from his will. He even entered his study to draft a new will to reflect the decision. So that raises the following question. Why would the victim need to declare that he was disinheriting the defendant? It doesn't make sense if he hadn't already disinherited her 5 years ago. Is that so? Well, who did you hear this from? It's clear that they had no understanding of my father's estate. They had no understanding. Miriam, this testimony came directly from your sister, Leif Frege. What? And she should have also been present at this alleged meeting 5 years ago. Well, she must be mistaken then. Objection! Your Honor, how can we trust second-hand testimony from a witness who isn't here? Wouldn't it make more sense to have Leif give her testimony directly? I would agree with you, Miss Tymora. I figure I should be allowed to clear up this misunderstanding. She looks way too confident. What is she planning? We're not sure if it was intentional, but Miriam's testimony was false. Would she be lying to protect Beatrice? And if so, was Mr. Moore expecting Leif to do the same? Bailiff, please escort Leif Frege to the stand. Miss Frege, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that your father decided to disinherit Beatrice. And he decided that this after the meeting on the night of the murder. Is that correct? Yes, I did say that. You see, Leif, Cuthbert doubts the testimony given by your younger sister. He seems to think that she's committed perjury. What? I wouldn't go so far as to say... Witness, lying on oath is a serious crime. It would have harsh consequences, even for someone of your sister's status. No, she couldn't have. Wonderful. Are you saying that you can corroborate your sister's testimony? Miss Tymora, you can't just intimidate the witness. I have no idea what you're talking about, Cuthbert. I'm just telling you the witness what may or may not have happened, depending on what she does next. The choice is ultimately hers. Ugh. So, Leif, assuming Miriam wasn't lying on oath, could you please testify to the court as to what your sister said? Yes, of course. Yes, of course. I need to take another sip of water. I'm sorry. Sorry, y'all. It's gonna be a little bit of the old chug chug. I'm not gonna have a voice after this. I can feel my bones. Ugh. You see, Miriam was quite young when my father taught us into a study 5 years ago. She didn't understand what he was really doing. My father would often lie to us. It was one of the many ways he kept us in line. The encounter that Miriam described was just another one of his lies. Despite their disagreements, my father would never disinherit Beatrice without a good reason. He always held on to the possibility that she would become desperate enough to return home. The truth is that none of us knew what my father was planning for House Frega's future. Well, that's a fucking lie. See, Cuthbert, the truth is much more complicated. No one could have really known what William Frege was planning for his estate. Yeah, no, I'm not even gonna pretend like that's a thing. Gee, I wonder what it could have been.
Objection!
Fucking speedrun. Miss Frege, did you really have no idea about House Frege's future? No, I didn't. My father made sure of that. As I told you, he kept many secrets and wasn't above the line to manipulate us. But with Beatrice gone, you would have been the one to inherit your father's estate. Would you really be ignorant of your father's plans for House Frege? Unfortunately for you, I don't think you'd be that careless. In fact, I have it on good authority that you knew exactly how William's inheritance would be divided before that night. What? Leif, according to Lloyd von Sanctus, you were arranged into a diplomatic marriage with his son. You expressed resistance to this arrangement. Am I correct? I have no reason to comment on that matter. Cuthbert, Winter's personal matters are hardly any of our business. Yes, I must ask you gave this discussion relevant to the case. Your Honor, Leif's resistance to this marriage is exactly how I know her testimony is false. She was extremely averse to this marriage, and because of that, she made sure to know every detail about how it would affect her and her house. That includes how House Frege would be inherited by her future husband. So that raises the question, Leif. If you already knew the intricate details of this marriage, why would your father tell you that he was disinheriting your sister? That statement would only make sense if Beatrice was already in his will beforehand. That would render Miriam's testimony false and constitute a motive for the defendant.
Objection!
Come on, Rubes. Just be nice. You present a decent argument, Cuthbert, but your claims rely on one assumption. And what assumption would that be, Miss Tymora? Even if he was lying, the victim declared that he was revoking Beatrice's inheritance. She must have already been named in the will previously. Otherwise, there would have been no need for him to say that. It wouldn't make any sense otherwise. And that's where your assumption is. You're assuming that William Frege was acting logically. What are you talking about? It's clear that William Frege was extremely controlling of his daughters. By your own admission, Leif Frege was resistant to the marriage arranged by her father. In addition to that, a few months ago, Miriam Frege found herself wrapped in controversy regarding the Nightgrave child. And finally, to make matters worse, Beatrice Frege, the prodigal child, finally returned and made a public appearance during the Lord's Ball. What are you trying to insinuate? In his eyes, William Frege's ability to keep his daughter in line was clearly weakening. He must have gone desperate and made a grand declaration in a feeble attempt to scare you, Leif. Even if that declaration was inconsistent. But he wouldn't. Your ability to remember must be muddled by the shock of your father's death. His statement couldn't have possibly been true. If by some chance it were true, that would make you guilty of perjury. I... But perhaps it was Miriam that was lying on her testimony. If your father's statement were true, the court might be inclined to investigate her for lying on the stand. Jesus fuck, Ruby. Miss Tymora, are you threatening her? As I said before, I am merely stating facts. A witness is free to act as she sees fit. I'm just asking her to consider the potential consequences of what she says next. What do I do? Admit she's pressuring Leif to side with her. She's clearly conflicted though. Isn't there anything you can do? Feel some clarity when you look at her. Is the Air Force reacting to her stress? I wonder. Huh. I'm sorry. I need time to think. Please don't stare at me like that, Mr. Cuthbert. Wait a minute. No, wait. It's too late.
Naught can remain concealed.
You did it. You activated the empowered eye. There has to be something in her mind that you can use. The state of her father's inheritance is the backbone of your case. Is there anything in her mind that can definitively prove what was on his will? As much as I hate to admit it, this trial is a perfect opportunity to back out of the arranged marriage. While Sanctus' holdings are weakening by the day, I doubt he'll be able to put up much resistance. And once Beatrice inherits the estate, we might be able to rebuild our family. Assuming that Beatrice will inherit House Freyga, that confidence must be she's certain of what was in William's will. How do you prove that? Okay, simple stuff. Why would Miriam say those things? Am I misremembering what happened? No, I would have remembered something like that. She must be trying to protect Beatrice. So Miriam's testimony was a conscious lie. Beatrice's inheritance wasn't revoked until the night of the murder. Alright. Beatrice, after all these years, you finally returned. I can't believe that this is how things have ended up. If only I was as strong as you, I'd be able to endure this. Okay. I need to make sure that I tell the truth without harming Miriam or Beatrice. Beatrice couldn't have possibly done this, and I'm sure Miriam also has her reasons. They couldn't rely on me back then, but they can now. Who else would work here? Just out of curiosity. What? What do you think about this? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Still about Beatrice. Father, I know we had our differences, but I did love you, and I never wanted you to die. Alright. From our counter, you know that Beatrice had an accomplice, but Dad was late. That helps. I need to make sure. Okay. How did both swords find their way into Beatrice's room? Tracker of... No, Ms. McCoy's sword is one thing, but he couldn't have possibly broken into the Haroldson's gallery. Although, he was extremely fixated on it. Does she know Houseless sword was taken? But if you want to follow that lead, it will be all for nothing if you can't turn the trial in your favor. You should try something else. What? Okay. Any other people? Haroldsson? Perhaps the monkey. No. If I was in this situation, I would also be thinking about monkeys. Okay. Prince? No? Yeah. What haven't I chosen already? Sorry, I'm absolutely spamming clicking everything. Maybe Tymora. I've heard stories about her. I expected Beatrice to hire someone like her. I wonder if she'll be at the will reading tomorrow. Will reading? She must be talking about William Frega's will. Maybe you haven't enough time for deliberation, Mr. Cuthbert. Are you able to prove the defense motive or not? I'm not, Your Honor. At least, not yet. It's clear we won't get anywhere until we confirm the state of William Frega's will. And we can easily confirm that tomorrow morning, when William Frega's will is read to his family. How did you... I see. Once his will is read, it will become public record. I suppose I have no choice but to suspend the trial until such time that William Frega's will is read.
Objection!
This is ludicrous. The case against my client is completely outrageous. We spent the entire court proceeding arguing if her motive even exists. The prosecution has very little evidence that physically implicates my client. Mr. Mora, you clearly don't believe that the defendant had anything to do with the murder. Of course I don't. She's completely innocent. Well, if your client didn't murder the victim, who did? You sneaky little... Your Honor, with no other suspects, are you in position to pass a verdict? No, I'm not. Mr. Cuthbert is correct. The court does not have enough information to pass a verdict. Until the Inquisition has time to investigate these new developments, I will be suspending today's trial. We will resume the trial after tomorrow. Court's adjourned. It's nice being the prosecutor, being able to say bullshit like that. Well, that certainly happened. Womp womp. And then just play a laugh track there. Sorry, I kind of acted without thinking. But out of everything that happened today, I can't believe that Steelwind somehow knew you would do that. Right, that is strange. Did she seriously predict what I do off that one conversation? Considering how things turned out, I suppose she was right on the mark. But that was still a big leap of faith. Anyways, we have some time to ourselves. I'd very much like to catch up on some sleep. Yeah, today's been exhausting. For a lot of reasons. Her work has only started, you still have no idea who Beatrice's accomplice was. Her will reading was just an opportunity to stall for time. So the question remains, who really murdered William Frege? It was the wolf. What the hell was that? Why is your son filling in for Arya? Listen, I have the situation under control. Yeah, if that's true, I'd hate to see a situation you consider out of control. Eris. My father is not pleased with today's developments. You promised that the verdict would pass before William Frege's will became public record. This has thrown quite the wrench in our plans. I understand. Cuthbert is confused, but he's not a threat to us. We'd better hope you're right, Tymora. Or else your poor ward might suffer the same fate as Prosecutor Steelwind. What? House Frege is too important of a prize for us to let go. Bring us results, Tymora, or else we'll continue to take more drastic measures. Oh, Ruby! I'm sorry I doubted you. That makes sense, though. Eris, you're a demon. Why do you care about this shit? Just leave us alone. For the first time since Lord's Ball, you're finally able to get some sleep. You woke this morning refreshed, but also a little anxious about the results of the will reading. You arrive back at Frege Manor and see that Beatrice, Leif, Miriam, and Von Sanctus have all gathered, along with Tymora, who's accompanying Beatrice as her attorney. Not really sure what to say to her after everything you've done. It still feels too awkward to approach her and talk about it. Thank you for coming here today. As one of Frega's close associate, I must express my deepest condolences for your loss. I think I speak for all of Wyvengard when I say, enough. Just get on with it. Okay, jeez. To get straight to the point, Lord Frega's will was magically sealed when it was given to me. He asked me, his executor, to not submit it to the court for probate until after his death. Although I imagine none of us expected such a time to come so unexpectedly. But anyway, Lord Frega's assets include the sole ownership of several banking houses around Ravengard, 10 million gold in various investments. 10 million? 10 million gold. I can't even begin to imagine what anyone could do with even a fraction of that wealth. I don't know, probably buy shit? I don't know. And that's the sole control and ownership of the Frega noble house. Alright. The executor takes out a large envelope and uses a runestone to spell the magical seal on it. I, William Frega, being of sound mind and body, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament. I hereby give, devise, and bequeath all my assets and property, both real and personal, to Jaden von Sanctus. It, provided that he enters into a legal and binding engagement with my daughter, Leif Frega, within 6 months of the date of my death. What? That's... They must have added that appendum to prevent von Sanctus from trying to steal the Empire. But a legal and binding engagement is predicted on Leif's accepting it. She clearly doesn't want to go through with it, so if she simply waited 6 months, von Sanctus wouldn't have any claim to the estate. In the event that Jane von Sanctus did not enter into such an engagement within the specified time frame, my assets and property shall be distributed as such. All the past Fregas will be divided equally among my children, as per the laws of our kingdom. Ooh. Only Frega never disinherited Beatrice. That would make Miriam's testimony false. Since Beatrice would receive a portion of William's inheritance, she had a motive to commit the murder. I glanced at Miriam and tried to read her expression, but something appears to be on her mind. Without a word, she walks out of the room, going with Beatrice and Leif. Leif, on the other hand, seems to be in good spirits. Isn't this great, Beatrice? You can lead House Frega now, just as it should have been. Actually, about that, in light of recent events, I believe I should clarify one thing. As per the Slayer rule, if Beatrice Frega is found guilty in the current court case, her inheritance will be revoked and divided between you and your sister. Oh, I see. I shouldn't feel so happy for myself. This can't be all, can it? Surely William added a note of Leif's obligation to marry my son? I'm not sure what you're trying to imply. Leif Frega is an adult with legal autonomy. She is free to make whatever decisions about who she legally marries. Now, if you'll excuse me. Wait, we're not finished yet. Come back here. I'd love to catch up with you, Leif. I was only allowed out of my cell to attend the reading. There's an Inquisitor Knight outside the door. He's going to be watching Beatrice intently. But don't worry. I'm sure once this misunderstanding is resolved, we can talk all we want about our family's future. Of course. There's so many voices, I'm dying here. A group of knights leads Beatrice out of the manor, and Leif follows after them, leaving you and Celeste alone with Miss Tymora. About what I did. Look, I'm not angry, Cuthbert. Oh, it was an extremely unforeseen situation, and Sylvan clearly put you on the spot. You felt pressure to do something and you made a rash decision. But I'm sure the court will understand if you withdraw. Wait, what? Cuthbert, you're not a prosecutor. You know that, right? Didn't you become an attorney to defend the persecuted mages? But Beatrice is guilty, I saw it. I'm not going to argue about this again. You are going to withdraw. This is not up for discussion. You've always regarded and respected Miss Tymora, and you suppose that's always made you deeply scared of disappointing her. Perhaps she's right. She knows more about what's going on than you do. And she's still your mentor. You want to believe that. You really do. But deep down, you know that this is wrong. Mr. Moore may believe in Beatrice's innocence, but you can't just abandon this case and let her escape justice. Her hands are trembling. Why are you so scared right now? You know what you have to say, but the words won't leave your mouth. From behind you, you feel Celeste hold your trembling hand. It's warm and comforting. It's the same sensation you felt back then. Somehow, you can feel it through her hand. As if she's silently telling you that you know what you have to do. Your anxiety fades and you take a deep breath. I'm not going to do that, Miss Tymora. Why is this theme playing? I'm pretty sure the song is called Attorney of the Arcane, which I guess makes sense, because we're being a little, I don't know, character arc right now. But it's like the title thing, that's... What? You said it yourself. Our court system needs a defense attorney and a prosecutor of equal power to keep things fair. That's not what I'm not going to withdraw. If you believe in Beatrice's innocence, and if you truly believe you're on the right side, then prove it by beating me. Fine. Do what you want, but you're only going to make things harder for everyone. Tyrion? As soon as Mr. Morris steps out of the room, your body drops to the floor. Whatever bravery you felt before got replaced with an extreme amount of fatigue. Scare Lord. This is the first time I've ever spoken to her like that. But you still did it. You stood your ground. Figuratively, I mean. Right now you're kinda just sitting on the floor. Yeah, I need to take a moment. Can we go back to the ballroom? Return to the ballroom and take a moment to recover. Spot Commander White at the edge of the room, but you don't pay him much notice. It takes you a while before you're ready to stand. You okay? Yeah. I just needed a moment. Our occupation still says defense attorney. Anyways, the Will Ring bought us a few more hours to investigate the murder. We should take advantage of the new information we just learned. So, where should we start first? Huh? Right, you're the prosecutor now, so that would technically make you his boss for the time being. Ugh. This is weird, right? Yep. Awkwardness aside, I've never really led a task force before. What would Steelman normally do in this situation? Well, she'd normally have us investigate areas of interest. Right. Context of the investigation tends to change after each round of court proceedings. Well, we're lacking a lot of physical evidence. Could you and the Inquisition search the gallery and Beatrice's room? Perhaps you can find evidence of how the Sword of Spell eating was stolen. Whatever you say, boss. That covers the Inquisition. But what are we gonna do? It's clear that Lord Frigga's inheritance plays a large role in the case. Even if it's not valid, we should take a look at the modified will that he was drafting. Might give us some sort of insight about what he was really planning to do with his inheritance. Oh, that's much of a show we're gonna figure out next episode, because... Oh god, I need to stop talking. I am in pain. Alright, okay. Yeah, so much about Tymora. So many thoughts. Just none of them are entering my brain right now. Maybe they will next episode. We'll see then. Goodbye.